Hello and welcome to What the Tech from Boast AI, where we talk with some of the brilliant minds behind new and exciting tech initiatives to learn what it takes to tackle technological uncertainty and eventually change the world. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Quin Sandler, co-founder and CEO of Plantiga, onto the show. At Plantiga, Quin's team is on a mission to optimize human performance, resilience, and recovery through the monitoring and analysis of biomechanics. That is, a person's unique movement patterns. The Plantiga platform combines an advanced sensor insole that measures how a person moves so they can maximize their health, recovery, and performance. Combining predictive analytics and applied sports science, Plantiga supports hundreds of teams and trainers and athletes in sport and in life. But as impressive as that mission is at Plantiga, Quin's experience in the Canadian startup ecosystem is extensive. As the latest serial entrepreneur to join our show, Quin has founded companies in online learning, coaching, and digital branding. He's most recently spent more than a decade in the wearable space, where he brings a wealth of experience in product design, development, and branding that truly sets Plantiga apart. Quin has also been an amazing Boast customer and partner and an incredible resource across the Canadian tech ecosystem and beyond. I can't wait to pick his brain on the work he's done to date, his path to success, and what's next for Plantiga. So, without further ado, welcome to the show, Quin.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely, we are happy to have you. I know that you've been in the Boast ecosystem for quite a while now, but I'd love to hear, how did you get into the startup scene to begin with?
So I guess I've always had an entrepreneurial itch. Even when I was young, I would do errands, and I actually have a sign in my office from when I was 11 saying that I was available for house errands and mowing lawns in North Vancouver, where I grew up. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've been self-employed since I was 19. Just always been around technology and building companies and businesses. The founding of Plantiga, I actually was with my dad, who had a background in movement and movement health and biomechanics. And we started on this path of, if we could bring the lab out to the real world, to the human being, that there would be huge opportunity across rehab, the measurement of neurodegenerative conditions like Parkinson's, to sports.
That is awesome. Now, I guess, is sports always been a passion of yours? Was that something that you were really looking to get into when you started your startup journey? I know it sounds like it was more of kind of a tech motivation, but what, I guess, specifically brought wearables, sports, and kind of just the medical even side of it all together?
I played sports my entire life, and I am very avid in sports. Funny enough, that's actually not the reason why we chose sports, but that is the case. And I love sports. I love a lot of the athletes and the teams that we work with are ones that I've admired, growing up, which is pretty exciting. It's a good byproduct of being in our company. The reason why we kind of focused on sport is we live in this world between sports performance and sports medicine. So we're kind of healthcare, kind of human performance. But because we make a wearable, and this wearable measures how you move, the people that we find now gravitate to our platform and are motivated to collect all the time are not someone that's managing Parkinson's, although they are, but they're dealing with a lot of things, blood pressure and heart disease and whatever. Whereas for our kind of clientele, if you use your body to live, to make money, and you are hurt, you are very compelled to collect data, interact with us. And so we found this, what we call like a warm door. We found this very kind of unique value prop with a lot of buy-in and high usage among health and performance practitioners. So think of like strength coaches and physical therapists and athletic trainers and the people they care for, but on the athlete side. That's kind of where we feel we do these other things as well, but that's the core focus, more for the buy-in on the platform than anything else.
Got you. So it's not that you're necessarily pigeonholed, for instance, in the arena of sports, the arena of sports. It is a full-fledged medical solution as well. But the best use case, and like you had said, the warmest door, are those people who sports is their career. Their body is their career. Moving is their business. And so it behooves them to kind of get ahead of what could be coming, or better understanding what is impacting their health today, or what is impacting their, to pull from it, just their biomechanism and how that's all working. Talk a little bit about, too, what makes Plantiga unique in the wearables market. I'm based here in Boston. There's several wearable startups, but they are very, very different from what I feel like you guys deliver over at Plantiga. So I'd love to dig into that kind of unique differentiator among your team.
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, what sets us apart is the data source that we collect. So let's take your background with Whoop. Whoop's a great example.
Yep.
Whoop or Apple, anything that I'm wearing on my wrist, it measures my heart and my breathing. It's what they call internal load. We measure biomechanics, or the external, the physical. So we do the other half of that coin. We look at the impact of the physical world on the body, and we look at physically how the body is moving, what the limbs are doing, how high they're jumping, how fast they're moving, what they're like. Everybody has an asymmetry. So you might, in walking, you might favor your right limb a little bit more than your left limb, but you have this healthy bandwidth. And so one of our ways that we look at injury prevention is we look at in changes in those patterns give us like a check engine light, just like a car. They give us like a check engine light when your alignment might be off. Those are things that I think really separate us. Then within the category of a wearable that you put on your feet, there are definitely other players in the world. We just got on the approved wearables list for the NBA. And that process was external validation extensively at this place in Germany called the Fraunhofer Institute. But we can safely say that we have one of the highest quality, best in class sensors in the world for measuring this stuff. Whereas in other wearable companies, I will not say their names, their accuracy is somewhat in question from lots of studies where we have a really, really medical grade accuracy and validity from them, which we build all of our insights and other things as well.
I'm thinking specifically. You had mentioned someone who I was thinking of. Whoop, we can say the name.
Yeah.
I was wearing, so to tell a little bit of a personal story, I was wearing my hiking boots while I was walking to jury duty for about
Okay.
3 months straight. I was on a grand jury a while back, and I was passing the Whoop building in Kendall Square the whole time. For the first time ever, I got a corn on my foot. I know that sounds probably par for the course with a lot of people you're working with, but it was a new event for me. I was like, I'm being healthy. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? But even when you said it, I favor one side more than the other.
Of
I never
course.
had a check engine light going off. I was just dealing with a painful new phenomenon. And I kind of wish I had something that gave me the heads up like, Paul, you think you're replacing your jog by wearing heavy boots and going for a really long walk every day? You aren't killing your feet. Your back hurts because of this too. It is affecting everything you do and your attitude when you get to court too. So I'm just even thinking like I would like this as a workaday non-athlete who just likes to prefer standing and likes to be as active when he as he can in his downtime.
No, and just on that point too, sometimes people forget. So in the world of mobility and applied sports science, we often consider walking the sixth vital sign. So Whoop, it measures a couple of vital signs, respiratory rate and heart rate, things like that. Walking, this is not an invention of Plantiga, is often considered the sixth vital sign. It is one of the best lenses. It can predict comorbidity. It can basically tell you if you're going to die soon. Like it is such a valuable biomarker for human health. It's just not really measured. And like in our iPhones, we can measure walking now. It's just minus 30% accuracy, and you can like it's hard to really gauge it. But yes, like it is very valuable. So yes, whether you're dealing with kind of a movement issue. Imagine you had Parkinson's or you had a hip replacement or a knee replacement. You are just trying to live a long and healthy life. And when you can't move, like when you can't move, it's depressing. It really is. Like we are born as human beings to move and have mobility. I just tore my left meniscus and I'm dealing with a pretty bad knee injury. It's much better now than a month ago, but it is depressing, man, when you can't move, when you can't crouch and hold your kids. They want to go play soccer, you can't play soccer with them. That really impacts one's mental health. So movement is just this pillar of human well-being that we really focus on trying to optimize.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I definitely relate to that. I mean, I bartended and waited tables throughout college before I
Me
came
too.
into the marketing game. So I was always like, wow, if I ever lost this mobility, like that's the one thing that I always clutched to. I'm like, I will have this. I'll be able to jump around tables. I'll be able to stand all day and do all that. When I couldn't even walk to court, I felt very, very old. And I was like, where did I go wrong? I'm like, that's when I bought a standing desk too. I was
Awesome.
like, Paul, you clearly started atrophying sitting at your desk all day when you used to wait tables all the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I do want to dig into the R&D of what you guys are doing at Plantiga, but can we talk a little bit more too about some of the awesome customers that you've worked with? I know we mentioned that you work with a lot of professional teams, a lot of different kind of sports groups. Could you share a little bit, maybe some highlights or some favorites from your roster?
Yeah, of course. So we right now we've been with the US Tennis Association for a few years. They're amazing. We're with the Blue Jays. As a Canadian, I think we're very proud to support our only Major League Baseball team. There are definitely some names that I can't say, but I can basically say like we're with like captains in the NHL that we work privately, MVPs in the NBA. Just got into this thing called the NBA Launchpad, so we're rolling out with 8 WNBA teams right now, and so this will all be very public very soon. But two-thirds of the league will have our system installed here in the next kind of month or so, which is really exciting. With the WNBA kind of growth, that's huge.
Oh,
We've been big NCAA programs too, like UConn, University of Alabama, Pitt,
yeah.
lots of big groups like that we work with and are kind of here to support. And funny enough, we're kind of moving into like NASCAR right now and pit
Really?
crews for like motorsports and Premier League teams and things like
Yeah.
that. So
That is so cool. I mean, the Caitlin Clark of it all, just hearing WNBA, I'm like, that's an awesome, just I think, growth opportunity for you guys too, just because all eyes are on the WNBA right now. And even when you were saying NASCAR, that was kind of surprising. We were watching a lot of F1 over the weekend up here, just because I know, I mean, Forza, Ferrari, that's who I was rooting for. But we were talking about NASCAR. It's like, oh, it's so much less physical, but the pit crews, like you're even saying, that's something
no,
I didn't
pit
even thought
crews
of.
are more. So in NASCAR, they actually put in gas. So the
Yeah.
pit crew in NASCAR is different. Actually, this is just a quick sidebar. I know because I've been talking to a bunch of NASCAR teams. Of the 38 races, 30 of them are decided by about a second. And unlike F1, where the same people win everything, NASCAR is really quite varied. And why that's quite exciting is lots of those races are decided by under a second. So if a pit stop is 9 to 10 seconds, because they're doing a lot more, you shave off half a second, you're going to win a lot.
Oh,
So
yes.
there's a lot of work in terms of pit crew optimization, from how fast they're moving to what path they're going to how they're prepping. I've seen like training facilities that look like an NFL team, but it's for pit crews at a NASCAR group.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I guess a lot of the like jokes in Talladega Nights about them abusing the NASCAR crew. No, they need to train. Those guys are actually working very hard.
They're
We
all
have
NCAA, dude. Literally, they're all NCAA or ex-professional athletes. I just met them, like a bunch of them. They're like football at Duke or Stanford basketball, like actual serious athletes.
Oh man. And the last tangent on this NASCAR thing too. I'm just thinking there's a very famous car dealer here locally who part of his legend is that he was on a NASCAR pit crew and he's the guy who forgot to put one of the bolts on. And that's why he's a car dealer now. And he's no longer in the game.
I
But he took his bona fides with him. I don't think he's still selling cars today, but that was like the story. So yeah,
love it.
you are right. Just in the differences, even between just like the races in NASCAR, how you win in NASCAR versus F1, and just like the stakes of not having true athletes on your pit crew who can execute
100%.
all those things. That's so cool. Now, like I said, I want to dive into the R&D a little bit.
Okay.
Also about how you fund your R&D. We'll get to that in a little bit, but could you tell me a little bit without giving away the secret sauce? Again, what really makes you guys stand apart from the others in the market, or some of the unique research and development that's gone into building Plantiga to date?
Okay, so I think the biggest thing is we have a sensor and it's a best-in-class sensor. That's one thing. The reason why it's so good is all of the software that we've done. So we've done a lot of building of machine learning models that can identify what type of activity you're doing. Are you walking? Are you running? Are you jumping? We can look at how those patterns are changing. We have built an AI that understands who you are after you use us. So, Paul, you use us 5 times. We now get an idea of how Paul moves, and then we will flag one standard deviation outside of Paul's signature. So while our hardware is impressive, it's probably the least impressive thing that we've done. Most of our R&D, what we call kind of our moat around our company, is the data that we've collected. So we've probably amassed the largest data set in the world around high quality biomechanics in the field. So on a court, on a field, on a NASCAR, on track, you name it. And then the models and the insights that we've built around that, we've probably collected on, 500 or 600 ACLs. We have models that kind of predict where you are in your ACL recovery. Are you ahead of schedule? Are you behind schedule? Are you on schedule? So it's all of that work that I think sets us apart. Hardware, yes, we are a hardware-based company, and we spend a lot of time to make sure it's small and powerful and works and all of the other good stuff, but it's the software and the insights and the machine learning models that's where the magic lives.
I love that. It's the platform intelligence too. It's not necessarily something you can touch and feel. It's that intuitiveness that you built into the platform. You made it smarter by pulling together these models, working on that machine learning. I love too that there's a predictive component to it that I feel like you don't always hear about. Like I'm told how many steps I did, like you had even said earlier, with a 30% accuracy on some plane. But what is the impact of me wearing these hiking boots while I'm walking all of this going to be in the long run? Not sure if that's even a use case, but just
Oh, no,
thinking
no,
about how
no,
you can
it
get ahead
is.
of that. Yeah.
Use case. So I actually founded Plantiga with my dad, who kind of tragically passed away from cancer in the beginning of our company. My dad's name was Norman, though, and so our AI coach is Norman. So Norman is very much a part of our company. And Norman would say, "Paul, why are you walking like not like you? Like what's going on?" And you would say, "Well, I'm wearing hiking boots." And our AI coach Norman would be like, "You need to not wear those, and this is why." And so being able to have not just a predictive component, but the insights and the dialogue, I think is kind of where we're going as well. I don't think people are going to look at their apps. I think with what LLMs have showed us in chat GPTs is that I'm going to want to talk to Norman, my movement coach, and get all the feedback and the programming and the insights without me even really looking at my app, quite frankly. And all of the data would be coming from our platform and our hardware, but that interaction would live somewhere else.
That's something that we've definitely learned here at Boast too. We don't necessarily have a Norman on our side, but we agree that people do want to hear it from not a person, at least a someone that something they can identify with and not
Bot,
necessarily
whatever you want
dig
to
into
call
the
it, right?
platform. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I mean, at Boast, for instance, like we're Boast.ai. We have so many integrations on the back end. We have automations that make it easy for you to sync up all your key workflows and not even think about it. But you're still going to be talking to your TSM on our side.
Of
That's
course.
kind of we don't want to make you have to go into the platform. If anything, we'd rather you just spend a couple hours working with us. We'll do all the heavy lifting in the background because we have those automations in place. But again, it's that layer of intelligence rather than you're not just setting it and forgetting it. You're not just automating it to a point where what is the actual value here? You have intelligence behind it. And on our end, that's our human tech expertise that really flavors the automation of what we do at Boast. But I love to hear that you're addressing that with even more kind of R&D, with building Norman, with building that AI interface that will actually make it something that can deliver the insights to people without them having to go dig. They're not going to go look into the platform on their own. They need to be told, hey,
Yeah,
and in our world, that's like, hey, R&D tax credits, you're leaving them on the table, or hey, you haven't cashed in on all of this. So,
totally. Same,
yeah,
same thing for us too. In the example to parallel to Boast is we have these applied sports science folks that support like a strength coach at a basketball team. That strength coach, he can look at the data, but if we're like, hey, look, athlete X seems to be favoring their left limb, which is really unusual considering their back, it probably means one of these three things, and these are the like next steps that we would take. So we're acting almost as like a co-pilot for that strength coach, helping them do their job faster, just like a real human for Boast is still there, but the AI is almost empowering them to work faster with the clients and provide more comprehensive insights and just a better experience. So it's almost like the AIs are more supportive than like replacing those roles. We're not replacing a strength coach on an NBA team. We're just trying to supercharge that coach's ability.
oh, absolutely. And yeah, like to draw another parallel too, like we're not replacing your CFO. We're not even necessarily replacing your accountant when it comes to
No.
doing all of your tax filing, but we want to help them make sure that they're getting you as much money back as you possibly can get and that they're
Yes.
able to claim more for you in the process because very few are treating R&D tax credits as a more than a line item in a larger ledger of work that they need to do. But it is a substantial amount of money if you're not tapping into it, especially if you're developing something new and you're already making these investments yourself. You want to recoup some of that so you can plug it back in and just innovate further. A lot of people think it's table stakes, or a lot of people think it's a nice to have. It is essential, and especially if you're doing R&D. And I'd love to know a little bit too. We've talked about both. We've talked about our partnerships and kind of the simpatico and what we're trying to deliver as solutions. But how has it been working with Boast? What has been your experience kind of having our team with you while you're doing all of this R&D, and how have we helped you kind of fund the innovation that Plantiga has out there today?
Yeah, well, I think Bose has been really, really helpful across kind of a few key things. So one is just streamlining the process, as you just spoke about, being able to get very clear on, to file a shred claim in Canada is work. And so to have Bose just take so much of that work, or come at my tech lead and my CTO, like, look, these are the things that we need. And so that streamlining of the process has been kind of a godsend. We had a group that we used before Bose. I think we're like 4 years into our Bose partnership. We've had groups before that were not easy. And so that's a big one. I think what I also like too is that work just maximizes our returns, which we get more liquidity to then drive into our company. And like, you just cannot deny that's what it's all about. So that's been huge. And then I do like, as a technology company, I like the technology theme that Boast operates under to then drive better insights, to drive more value that we can lean on. And so I kind of like the trajectory of Boast compared to just some like shred consultant is what we call them up here. I like the trajectory of that is comforting because I feel like that's how we approach our growth. Like there's no limit to the upside of what you're going to be able to do here with data and AI. So at least you want to work with a R&D tax credit company that sees the same thing.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. I think I say it a lot on this show, but we're technologists in our own right. We may have been around for a while, but we have the startup mentality. We want to keep developing a cooler solution and a cooler product, just like the startups and just like the scale ups that we're helping support today. So, like, it is an ethos. We are elbow to elbow with the folks that we're helping get those tax credits because we're building the solution too. So, I'm so glad that you flagged that kind
You're
of.
getting your own tax credits using your own product in Canada, probably. You know what I mean? It's like it's
Exactly. It's
doing the
like, don't
same
come see our.
R&D work.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's the best. And again, it's why we love having partners like you too in the ecosystem, because we can share in the joy because, hey, we were with you when you were still developing the solution 4 years ago, or at least doing a new level of R&D. We're with you today. We only succeed if our customers succeed. And we really like, again, being that human interface between the shred claim process, which can be an arduous pain in the ass, let's be honest,
Yep.
shaving the time down so that you actually enjoy the shred process and you get some takeaways beyond just the money, beyond just the tax credits. If we can help you even learn how to organize your R&D a little differently so that it maximizes the opportunities, that's great. If we can give you some insights into how the hours were actually spent compared to how the R&D outcomes came out, or even just the shreddable outcomes, even better too. So I love it. That's what a true partnership is, where there's give and take. And that's what I feel like we have with you guys here at Plantiga.
100%, man. I could not agree more.
Yeah. And so I'd love to know, I know we're almost at time, but any sage wisdom for others out there in the startup community? We're talking to founders of all stripes here, but specifically, I think anyone developing really cool new tech who maybe not know where to go to kind of see their dream take lift. What would you recommend for them today?
I think one is obviously the nature of this is just realize how much capital is actually out there that you probably didn't know existed. Whether it's like programs, we've done IRAP up here, so we've gotten great funding from IRAP and Shred. We are very thankful to those things, and I think that helped drive a bunch of our innovation before you have a whole lot to share. But I think on the other one, just more of like how I approach being an entrepreneur is you sure as hell shouldn't be doing it for money. The people that are here to try to make, like, that's not the motivation. The motivation is that you're passionate about what you do, because there's no other way you're going to go through all of the pain and suffering unless you really like what you do. So any startup, any founder that I've met that's been successful, and I can count like a bunch of them as friends, it's just because they were passionate about what they did, not because like, oh, I think this is a hot theme and I want to start an AI company because people are starting AI companies. That is the worst reason to start anything. So that's my advice. Follow your passion, nothing else.
I love that, Quinn. Yeah, that I think those are perfect words to end on. I cannot thank you enough for joining us on this episode of What the Tech, Quinn.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Amazing.